everyone. I'm sorry it has been quite literally months. And between the weather has been the biggest component because with the weather being as bad as it was, and we're talking record rainfall, and I think this was considered the most wettest winter in about 10 years. And we relocated. I'm currently now in Bent Mountain instead of Algoma. And so a lot of readjustment and not being able to film. Like the days that I had set aside to film, we were rained out. So pretty much what I've been doing with Indy over the period of the last couple of months is really just keeping him in shape. So lunging, hand walking. I have been using him in some lessons. Just to kind of see what he would do. And obviously, just how he acts, he's a really sweet boy. He tries his best to take care of his people, but he still acts very insecure. So we're going to be working through that. And he acts really insecure and nervous when we are working with him with somebody on his back. We're asking him to go faster. So obviously, that's something we can work through, but we just have to be able to do it. So luckily the weather has been nice enough where not only can I start filming again and start posting again, but we can also do updates and I can also explain what I'm doing. So at this point in his training, what we're going to have to do with the filming and keeping up with his diary is pretty much play catch up, because where we are here, we've actually progressed a little bit farther. So a lot of people know me as like a natural horsemanship fan, but what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of the progressing of the training, I start throwing in different factors. So I think next time when we have more time, I'm going to explain what I'm using and the mechanics of using it. What I will say, what we're going to be doing today is I have a surf single on his back, and you can do the same thing with a saddle. So a lot of people know that I've been using the side reins. If you go back, I think it was last episode or the episode before, we talked about that. So the side reins aren't there to hold his head down. And nothing, if you watch what I'm doing, there's nothing that I'm doing with him that's making him stay in any position. He has the option of raising his head, lowering his head. However, I'm not forcing him in a fixed position at all, no matter what I'm doing. But I'm encouraging him to drop his head. And it's not a matter of him looking pretty, but number one, it's going to be more comfortable. It's going to strengthen his back, because not only is he putting his head down, but what I'm trying to get him to do is encourage him to lift up through his belly and almost round his back, and then carry his head down. So naturally, horses, what they like to do is they like to throw their head up, and that narrows down their back, and it creates a lot of pain. And I think that's where a lot of his anticipation of pain comes from. Now, he doesn't actually have back pain. And I will be, as we progress, especially when we start doing some canter under saddle, I probably will have a chiropractor out to look at him just in case. But really, it's just more of a psychological thing that he has. So in encouraging him to carry himself correctly, what I'm hoping to do with him is to build those muscles and also encourage him psychologically too, that reinforce that everything's going to be okay. So a lot of these things is hard to teach. You can teach it riding on their back, but sometimes it's easier teaching from the ground, because our progression with our training has been that from the ground, if you followed the series so far. So what I'm doing with him is we're calling this long lining. And what that is there are two reins, one on each side, and we connect them to the halter or the bridle, and we run it through the surf single, And what we're going to do is we're going to reinforce different things like turning, transitions, backing, what have you. And for those things, what he has a tendency of doing is he does fight through the bit. And this way, it's going to be easier for me to fix from the ground than it is with me on his back, because me being on his back trying to fix everything can create a lot of tension, which again leads to the apprehension of moving forward. So this is an easier way for me to do it. And like I said, I think next time we'll kind of discuss the mechanics of what I'm looking for and what I'm wanting him to do. And because I can imagine some people watching this and like, geez, we were doing like natural horsemanship stuff a few episodes ago, and now it's like, what is this? And what I tell everybody is it's not necessarily the equipment, it's how you use it. And in the wrong hands, even a halter, just a plain halter, can be bad news to a horse. So you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to know what you're doing. And again, I really encourage people, if they have any questions, if they're trying to do this with their own horse, I would seek a professional to help you and to answer questions for you. So what I'm doing here, this is actually his first time with long lines. Okay. And I have a rope halter on him. When I start horses in long lines, I actually truly encourage them to move forward, but I don't connect it to their bit. I connect it to the halter. I have had some horses in the past that are very, very flighty. They tend to forget, like, geez, I got ropes around me, and they panic. So if they do that, I'd rather the bit not be connected to their mouth directly. I'd rather it be connected to their halter, and learn to respond to pressure versus something on their mouth. I want them to kind of make that connection, that when I'm asking them to do something on the halter, which I have rope halters on my guys, I can ask them to do the same thing, so they should be able to make that connection between one and the other. So, just to catch you up on what's going on, so what we've been doing, as you just saw a moment ago, is we're doing walk-trot transitions. I usually don't ask for the canter the first week or so, unless the horse is absolutely ready for it, then I will ask them. But, he's telling me, he will do what I want him to do, but he's just very insecure, and I want him to feel ready to do it. So what I'm also asking him to do too is I'm asking him to whoa, and I'm asking him to back, like right here. So here we have him still connected to the halter. And what that will do is when I'm asking him to whoa, he doesn't really have the option of putting his lower jaw out and pushing through the bit. Since it's connected to the halter, that's putting pressure across his nose. So the more he pulls through, the more pressure he has across his nose. And that can be uncomfortable. So the moment he releases and doesn't pull, I will release. And so he's teaching himself within a matter of seconds. When I'm asking him to back or asking him to turn, he doesn't really have that option of fighting it. And as far as asking him to back, I love teaching my guys with the rope halter before I put it on the bridle. And pretty much the goal of this particular session is to reinforce what I'm asking him to do. Indy obviously does have an idea because he has been a riding horse for so long, and he does somewhat know what he's doing. He does need a little help still, but I am wanting to reaffirm what he knows and what I'm asking him to do. And again, because we do have some issues with the backing and turning and everything, this is going to be a really, really handy thing to kind of help him out, especially as we get into the finer stages of the riding with the cantering and such. So at some point during this session, Here we go. So I'm going to have him whoa and stop. So I'm not looking for perfect here. I'm just asking for a couple steps. And I tell you, long lining, especially training your horse to back, is such a valuable tool because they get used to that pressure point on both sides of their mouth. They get used to that verbal command, and it's like a smooth transition from the ground to the back. 90% of the time, I have no problem with my horses asking them to back on the saddle once they have gone through the ground lesson and the ground driving exercises. And so that's pretty much what we're doing with Indy. So at this point, what I have done is I have stopped and I have connected the reins to the bridle. So you can actually see, because you notice how he's chewing that bit a little bit more. He wasn't quite as mouthy before, and now we're kind of chomping at it a little bit. We are we're a little insecure about what we're doing with the bit. So I want him to take that same confidence that he learned without the bit, and now we're going to put the reins on the bit. And I want you to see too that I am slowly, we're backing up here. So I'm not looking for anything major. I'm just looking for a couple of good steps. And that's what he gave, and then we moved on. So I want him, and I want you to notice too, his head carriage is so much better. And I'm not even asking him to put his head down. I'm not moving the reins. But this is just from him working with the side reins. He's now used to that pressure, so automatically his inclination is to lower that head. He knows that's where it's comfortable. So again, you can see he's got the option of moving his head up and down, but majority of the time you're going to see that head actually lower a little bit. So I'm going to back him up here. And just a couple good steps, and that's all we're looking for. And again, I think, next time we will go over the mechanics of what I'm doing. But for today, just to give you an update, we're still training, we're still doing stuff, and we'll be doing a lot more of these videos this upcoming month. So, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to ask, and hopefully we will see you guys back next time. You guys have a great rest of your week,